This is the McLaren Artura Spider. It's McLaren's latest hybrid supercar. With a 0 to 60 time of 3 seconds flat, this thing is blindingly fast. But what happens when you take it off the track and put it on the UK roads instead? Let's find out.
So today I am driving the McLaren Artura Spider and I am absolutely over the moon. This is sort of like a dream come true. I've always wanted one of these cars. They are absolutely gorgeous inside and out, and it feels such a privilege to be behind the wheel of one. I'm going to be giving it a bit of a review, both as an everyday car, I know, kind of crazy to say from a supercar like this, and as a supercar, sort of looking at its performance and how it fares when you really do put your foot down and try and take this car to its limits. Hopefully you like the video and this sort of content. If you do, please drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more. It really does help me out. So driving the Artura, as you can imagine and as you can probably see, the cabin, the interior is quite small. These seats are quite thin, but they're surprisingly plush. Like, they're actually pretty comfortable to sit in. I had to drive this thing back up north from London, so I was probably in the car for about 4 or 5 hours in one go, and honestly, it didn't really get uncomfortable. I've been in a lot more uncomfortable cars. The Porsche Taycan, as much as I loved it and its range, the seats, those particular bucket seats seem to dig into my leg a little bit. I don't know if it's just how I sit. And the Polestar 2 I found to be particularly uncomfortable when I reviewed that. So, you know, this is more comfortable than either of those, so I can't knock it for that. This screen here in the middle is surprisingly useful. You can connect your iPhone to it and have CarPlay. It also allows you to change the interior lighting, some of the car's settings. You know, there's an EQ for the music from the surprisingly good Bowers & Wilkins sound system. You can save and tweak your driving position. There is navigation built in, although you probably won't use that since you've got CarPlay. You can also change some of the driver assistance features, because yes, even supercars have driver assistance features, including the lane keeping assistance that everybody switches off, as well as adaptive cruise control and some of the things you might actually want if you're taking this car on a longer sort of drive on the motorway. The seats are adjustable rather than forwards and backwards because they're sort of limited by size and weight. It's sort of a tilting motion, so it sort of tilts you forwards and backwards, which does get you closer to the pedals or further away from the pedals. It also raises you up or down a little bit, but of course you can manually move the seat using the bar at the bottom if you do need to get closer to the pedals. There's also lumbar support, so the seats are, as I say, surprisingly comfortable. Rather than the steering wheel moving by itself, the dashboard actually comes with it, which you may have seen on some other supercars, but it's not usually common. So this screen with these paddles here, that actually comes forwards with the wheel, so you haven't got to reach forward if you are sitting a little bit further back. That's really quite nice. So these paddles here, which you can really easily adjust with your fingers when you're driving with your hands on the wheel. This one here adjusts the handling, and this one here adjusts your drivetrain. So right now I'm in sport mode because you're not going to have a supercar and not driving in sport mode, let's be honest, but I'm still using the comfort settings because I'm just on everyday roads and they are a bit lumpy bumpy. Some have got speed bumps. I want the suspension to be a little bit more comfortable, smoother, stable, stiff, that sort of thing. You can use this to change into comfort mode, track mode, or even the electric mode, since this is a hybrid. Like if I just quickly knock this down into electric mode, you can hear that noise disappear instantly. At least I hope you can. And you can sort of start to hear the motors whirring up a bit because it is running only on the battery.
It's worth pointing out that the motor spins backwards to put the Artura in reverse rather than using a separate gear.
The battery on this, it has about 22 to 25 miles WLTP range. In real world you're probably looking closer to 18, I think. It's handy if you want to creep away without waking up your neighbours early in the morning or late at night, or if you just, I don't know, that's kind of it really. I'm trying to think of another use case. I can't really find one. Or if you're just poodling around the town on a quick journey, I guess you might want to put that on. But let's put it back into sport mode because that's the real reason you're in a car like this. I haven't plugged in the battery since I got it. I've just been regenerating it from driving it. Just spins the motor backwards, there's no regen braking, and it still manages to keep it topped up to a decent amount. I can dive into the settings here and put it on its max recharge setting, so I can really have it focus on boosting the battery, but in all honesty, I'm probably not as bothered about that as I would be, as perhaps some other Artura owners are. Just accelerating to the speed limit there, and you can hear, well, at least I hope you can hear, just how fantastic this car sounds. Obviously, this being a supercar, you're extremely close to the ground, so you do feel lumps and bumps and undulations in the road, a bit more than you would on a car that's higher up, or with, you know, bouncier suspension, but that's really not a problem. I think the suspension on this car really handles everything on the road quite well. It's not ever uncomfortable, it never feels too much, it never feels like the car is struggling, and I think that that's absolutely exceptional. Of course, this thing just takes corners exceedingly well. It grips the road like it does not want to let go. It will stay you tight on lines, round corners. You feel like you hardly have to put in any effort to get this car to really move. Like, that was only a quarter of a turn of the wheel to do, you know, quite a sharp turn, and it handled it really, really well. Honestly, this thing is just a pleasure to drive, and I think that's sort of McLaren's DNA, isn't it? They're really well known for the driver feel, the driver experience, and keeping you connected to the road when you're inside it. And this being the first McLaren I've ever driven, I really notice it. I really do feel connected to the road, as cheesy as that sounds. I feel like I'm engaged by the car. I can tap the paddle here to change up a gear, or tap it back here to downshift. It'll keep me in that semi-automatic manual mode for about 20 or 30 seconds afterwards, before it just reverts back into automatic. I can press that button here to put it into manual only, and honestly, I don't think you particularly need to do that for an engaging driving experience. If I put my foot down quickly now, you can see it drops a couple of gears to get the revs up and to get you your instant speed, and that just feels really like, I don't know, I'm sort of struggling to put this into words. That feels like what I would do if I was in manual mode, so I almost don't feel like I need to. The automatic system in here feels like a driver, so you still feel engaged even if you're not tapping the paddles. I hope that makes sense. These paddles are also pivotable, so you can pull them forward and push them back, so I can just use the +1 to upshift and downshift, which I think is an exceptionally nice touch. Right now I have the nose raised because I've been going over some speed bumps, so I'm just going to lower that because we're going to be going up to some higher speeds. It will automatically do this for you if you go above, I think it's about 30 or 40 miles an hour, but I'm just going to do it to save some work on the car. Hopefully the camera picked up there how much it adjusts when the nose raises or lowers. It's just, like I say, for going over speed bumps if you are using this car out and about, so you don't damage or scrape the front of it. This stalk here is for your lights and your indicator. This stalk here is for your window wipers and cleaning the windscreen. This one down here allows you to adjust the on-screen controls, and this one down here is for your cruise control settings. There are no buttons on the steering wheel, which I think is actually quite a nice touch, since, you know, everything these days is very button heavy, shall we say. There is a horn in the middle as well, of course. This being a hybrid, obviously the hybrid motor kicks in to help give this thing instant torque. It helps deliver the 0 to 60 mile an hour time of just 3 seconds, and you can really feel it. This feels faster than other cars that I know are a similar speed, like the Tesla Model 3 Performance, or even other electric cars with a 3.1 or even 3 second 0 to 60 time. This one feels faster, and I know it's silly because it isn't, but I think it's because of the sheer power behind it. You do feel like you're being pushed into your seat a hell of a lot more. You feel like you're pulling some G's, which is what you'd expect from a performance supercar, don't get me wrong, but it's just, it makes me smile. Again, that goes back to the engaging driving experience. I would love to put the roof down and show you just how fantastic this car feels with the roof down when you are using it as a convertible, but I don't think you'd be able to hear anything that I said, and I don't think the camera footage would be at all usable if I did so. So we are going to keep the roof up for now, but I feel like I've got this car for the perfect amount of time. The sun is shining, it's the mid 20s to the high 20s, even crept up to 30 the other day. So it's perfect weather to get the top down, and it really feels like that's how the car's supposed to be driven. And I know that's silly to say because they made the Artura first, before the Artura Spider, and then went for the convertible, but you know, this feels like how it was supposed to be. On that change with the Spider version, it's not just the convertible aspect that was new to the Spider version. McLaren also made some tweaks to the performance and handling of the car, as well as the exhaust system down the back. Now, the quickest and easiest to explain is that the exhausts sound better, sound different. McLaren did some clever stuff on the inside to change the audio sound to make it sound better. The more complicated system is McLaren had to really shift some of the cooling technology to, you know, account for the roof going back in there. So there's sort of a few different radiators on the back. This car's covered in radiators, but there are a few different radiators on the back to specifically cool down the engine. So it sort of sucks the air in and then cools it down as best it can for the car, but then there's hot air coming back out of it. So it tries to send that up above the car. And of course there's hot air below the car as well, because the gearbox is open and exchanged. But so that this doesn't, you know, hit the back of the body of the car and damage the paintwork, McLaren's got a fan that's sort of cooling down the air right on the back of the car. So it's sort of creating like a sandwich of cold air in between two bits of hot air that are going over and under the car to really protect the car, as well as provide some extra downforce to keep this car gripped to the road. It's very technical. I'm not sure I fully understand it. That was my takeaway from speaking with the McLaren technicians on site, but it works. I mean, that thing McLaren was telling me, the engine can get as hot as 600 degrees. No, not even the engine. The air coming out of it can get as hot as 600 degrees. So it needs to do some serious cooling, as you'd expect from a supercar. Right, so let's pull up here in one of my favourite car parks, and we'll get some sexy sort of shots of the car so you can really see what it looks like.
For some reason, all my audio got corrupted from this point on, so I'll try to remember my summary. The McLaren Artura Spider is powered by a 3.0 litre twin-turbocharged V6 paired with an electric motor producing around 690 brake horsepower and 531 pound-feet of torque. It uses an 8-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission with rear-wheel drive. As I said, the car accelerates from 0 to 62 miles per hour in about 3.0 seconds and has a top speed of 205 miles per hour. Its dry weight is roughly 1,457 kilograms, with a curb weight of about 1,560 kilograms. When you really put your foot down, this car shines in its performance. But it was surprisingly more practical than I thought. I managed to do multiple motorway road trips in it, as well as taking it around the town. The electric mode comes in handy if you're stuck in traffic or if you want to sneak off early in the morning without waking your neighbours. I genuinely feel like I could use this car every day, as well as taking it out for special fast occasions. And that's kind of dangerous because now I really want one. If you like this sort of content, please subscribe to the channel for more and drop a like on this video. I've been Connor, this has been the McLaren Artura Spider, and I'll see you in the next one.